Hello everyone and welcome to yet another class of ancient history. Today we are going to talk about Rigvedic polity. Why is understanding Rigvedic political structure important? From the Vedic literature, we come to know what was the kind of administrative system which was present in the Vedic society. Understanding Rigvedic polity gives us a clear picture about how the society worked, what kind of activity the king had and what kind of religious activity the king adopted in the society, because we know that religion played a very important role in the Rigvedic life, and sacrifices were also specifically mentioned for the king, like Ashwamedha Yagna, Vajpaya Yagna, Rajasuya Yagna. These sacrifices were meant for the king. So, we need to know what was the political structure which was present in Rigvedic time. One thing I would want to make very clear, the political system, whatever was present in Rigvedic time, was very different from the Harappan age, because in Harappan society we find the sign of centralization, we find the sign of administrative involvement in the lowest wing of the city, where we find municipal corporation must have been there. The presence of municipal corporation is also seen in Harappan society. But Rigvedic people were very different. They migrated to India and they had a tribal society. So, the polity of Rigvedic age is very much associated with the society of Rigvedic age. So, first thing that a student must remember is the society which was present in Rigvedic age was a tribal society. As such, in a tribal society, you do not find an excessive centralized administration which is very imperialistic or military in nature. Instead, what do we find? We find a very republican form of system where clans participate and they choose a chief who is considered one of the leaders, one among all the other clans, isn't it? So, this is what you will see in the early Rigvedic society. So, since the society was tribal, the most important unit of the society at that time was Jana. So, who are Jana? Jana is basically the people. As such, the polity itself, or the administration, or the king also derived his power from this tribal structure of society. So, understanding society becomes very important before you understand the polity. So, these people, who were these people? Where did they come from? The basic unit of society in Rigvedic age was called Kula, which was the family or extended family. Romila Thapar says that this extended family actually enjoyed the authority of over land or ownership of the land jointly. So, the family did not have just the nuclear family as we see today, father, mother and child, but it was similar to Yash Chopra movies. So, if you see Yash Chopra movies, you will see 3 generations of people staying together with uncle, aunts, everybody under one roof. So, this is what I am talking about. The Kula was extended family, and the oldest patriarch of the family was called Kulappa. So, who was the head of Kula? The head of Kula was Kulappa. So, head of Kula was Kulappa. Now, collection of Kula made a grama. What is a grama? Grama means a village. Who was the head of the village? The head of the village was called Gramini. And collection of this village made a vis. What is a vis? Vis is a clan. And who was the head of the Vis? The head of the Vis was called Visapati. Now, what do we see? That these Vispati, they came together in assemblies, and in the assemblies they appointed or elected their king, who was called Rajan. So, Rajan was basically the head of the people. So, who was going to head the people? Ultimately, the king, Rajan, was the head of the people. He was going to be he was basically the highest administrator. So, Rajan was the highest administrator. Just now I told you about the assemblies. As such, in Rigvedic society or in Rigvedic polity, we see the presence of few very important assemblies. Let us write the name of such assemblies. So, what were these assemblies? Let us talk about assemblies. The most important assembly which finds mention in Rig Veda almost more than 100 times is Vidhata. Now, this assembly was seen as an assembly where secular, economic, political, all kind of activities took place. So, if we want to understand the role of Vidhata, it was almost like today's parliament where all kind of topics were discussed. So, it is the most important assembly where men and women both participated, and basically it was the assembly of clans. So, all the Vis came together and participated in the assembly. So, it is the assembly of clans. Then we find mention of Sabha. What was the purpose of Sabha? If you have seen serials like Mahabharata or Ramayana, you will see that they talk about Sabha, and in such Sabha all the members of the court are present and they are seeing, they see all kind of activity like dancing, music is going on. If you see these mythological serial, you will see the Sabha of Indra. So, what does happen? Most of the time in serials, we find Indra sitting on his chair and entertaining himself while dancers dance there or sing there. So, of course, this Sabha also had similar kind of function. So, in Sabha, most of the time we see that the clan would come together and it was a folk assembly. So, folk assembly used for cultural activity. So, clans will sit together and they will entertain themselves in Sabha. Finally, we also read about Samiti. Now, Samiti most probably had participation of very important people like priest or Purohita and Brahmins of the section. Samiti took care of important aspect of polity such as business. So, Samiti was also a folk assembly where administrative activity took place. So, even today commissions are given the title of Samiti, isn't it? So, Samiti took care of political activity or activity related to the administration of Jana. Okay? So, other than Vidhata, Sabha, Samiti, we also come to read about Parishad. So, Parishad was mostly like a board like Mantri Parishad or Gram Parishad. So, Parishad was there which took care of the of some departmental work. Then we also read about Gana. So, I will write it here, Gana. So, such assemblies are mentioned many times in Rig Veda, but the most important aspect of the Rig Vedic polity was the structure of the polity. Now, when we talk about what was the administrative system like, if before I explain you that, I have to ask you something. What are the components of state? If we call a country a modern state, what are the things that should be present in state? I am sure you are thinking about the question, but let me tell you, the most important component of state are population and territory. They are few of the most important component of state. As far as Rig Vedic polity is concerned, population was there. Jana was mentioned many times in Rig Veda, but Jana Sangha or the territory does not find mention in Rig Veda. Jana Sangha was the territory, Jana were the people, or Jana Pada does not find mention in the Rig Veda. It is only in the later Vedic age when we read about Janapada, the territory. So, if we look into the feature of Rig Vedic polity, first of all, absence of territory. So, we do not read about Janapada in Rig Vedic age. What we read? We read about Jana. Jana was a nomadic tribe which moved from one place to other in search of land. As such, assigning a territory to such a group of people was not possible. So, in the Rig Vedic age, when we talk about where did the Rig Vedic people come and state, we see that the territory was named after the clan. So, we come to read about the clan instead of the name of the territory. Like in later Vedic age, we will read about Gandhara, Magadha, Kashi, but in the early Vedic age, we will only read about clan. So, what is the very important example that we find in Rig Vedic books where the clan is mentioned? The story of Battle of 10 King is the famous story which is given in Rig Veda, also known as Dasarajan Yuddha. This battle was fought by the king Sudas, who was the head of the Bharata clan. So, we come to read about Sudas, who was the head of Bharata clan, and he fought this battle along with 10 other tribes of Rig Vedic India. Okay. So, we come to read about many clans of that time like Puru, Kuru and Panchala. So, these clans are mentioned in this Dasarajan Yuddha, and we come to know that the territory itself was named after the clan. So, absence of territory. So, next point will be polity based on clan ties. So, Rajan was not someone alien in the tribe. He was one of the member of the tribe whose main job was to protect the people and the cattle. That is why he is also given the term Gopa Janasya, means he has to be the protector of cattle as well as the people. So, polity was based on clan ties, as we have already seen. The basic unit was Kula, and then it keeps on expanding to Gramini, Visapati, and highest administrator is Rajan. Okay. Third important aspect was absence of taxation. Now, in Rig Veda, a word called Bali is mentioned, but remember, what is the feature of taxation? The feature of taxation is that it is charged periodically on something which is measured, maybe your income that is measured, and on the basis of what is your income, a taxation is charged, but that is the difference in Vedic age. There is something called Bali. Okay, so let me write it down for you. And let me just demarcate the word so that you can read it properly. So, there is something called Bali, okay, but Bali is not a tax, it is a voluntary gift, Okay, it's a voluntary gift. So, a tribe may gift this to the Rajan because of his duties. It cannot be coerced, means a force cannot be used to take it from the tribe. So, this is Bali. However, in the later Vedic age, this will change and we will see the concept of taxation was introduced. So, this is all about Vedic political structure, but before I just end the class, there is one more point that I want to use. The most important point was presence of assemblies. And what are those assemblies? As we just saw, Vidhata, Sabha and Samiti. These are the assemblies that we just talked about, and these assemblies will obviously lose their importance in the later Vedic age with the growth of monarchy, and in our next class we will talk about how this change came in polity.